The Demon Beast mountain range is the largest mountain range in the Jia Ma Empire. Around the Demon Beast mountain range, there are many small towns of various sizes, and Qingshan town is the closest small town to the Demon Beast mountain range. In the town, the most populous crowd are naturally those mercenaries who lick blood on the blade every day. They group together, hug each other's arms, and spit on the street, discussing recklessly which woman has the most flavor, which wine is the strongest, and which demon beast is the most ferocious. On both sides of the street, there are many shops, and because of Qingshan town's geographical advantage, the popularity is quite hot. At this moment, a slight disturbance suddenly appeared on the busy street. And quat, get out of the way, and quat, get out of the way for me, and quat. A mercenary with a huge body, carrying a companion, ran wildly on the street, yelling angrily, and many pedestrians were rudely pushed away by him. The big man's rough face had a deep scar, his mercenary clothes were stained with a lot of blood, and his fierce face looked like an evil ghost. Some pedestrians were hit by the big man, and their faces showed some dissatisfaction. But when they turned around and saw his fierce face, they obviously didn't dare to provoke him, and they obediently gave way to him. And quat, are you in a hurry to reincarnate? And quat. After the big man left, he immediately cursed unwillingly. And quat, keep your voice down, they are the Dragon and Tiger brothers. And quat, a passerby next to him seemed to recognize the big man and reminded him in a low voice. And quat, what? They are the Dragon and Tiger brothers. And quat. Hearing this, the face of the unhappy passerby changed, as if he was a little afraid of these. And quat, Dragon and Tiger brothers. And quat, Dragon and Tiger brothers is a very special mercenary group in Qingshan town because there are only two people in the mercenary group, Lin Long, Lin Hu. The two are brothers, united, and have the strength of 5-star Do practitioners. In this Qingshan town, few people dare to mess with these two brothers. And quat, just now that person was Lin Hu, right? He was carrying his big brother, Lin Long. And quat, his face seemed a bit purple. I guess he was poisoned. And quat, looking at Lin Hu's anxious look, I guess this poison is very powerful. And quat. At last, some passers-by recognized his identity and whispered to each other. However, their faces did not show any pity or sympathy. This was not because they were cold-blooded by nature, but because as mercenaries, they lived a life of licking blood on the blade. This kind of thing was commonplace for them, and there was nothing to be pitied or regretted. The scarred big man, also known as Lin Hu in the mouths of the people, carried his brother all the way and finally stopped at the door of a place called and quat, 10,000 Medicine Hall. And quat, little medical fairy, please save my big brother. And quat. As soon as he arrived at the door of Wan Yao Zhai, Lin Hu put down his big brother and shouted directly at Medicine Hall. And quat, I'm coming. And quat. After the big man shouted 5 or 6 times, a light and graceful voice came from inside 10,000 Medicine Hall. The next moment, a girl in white slowly came out from behind the and quat, 10,000 Medicine Hall. And quat. The girl in white wore a light white dress, and although her appearance was not stunning, she could be said to be a rare beauty. Her calm and smiling cheeks exuded a fresh and ethereal temperament, which made her charm rise greatly. On the girl's slender waist, which was less than a handful, There was a green belt that perfectly showed her slender and weak waist. This girl in white was naturally the little medical fairy that Lin Hu called for. And quote, "Little medical fairy, please save my big brother. I beg you." And quote. Seeing Shua Yi Xian come out, Lin Hu knelt in front of her like a lifesaver and begged. In front of the little medical fairy, he completely lost his previous fierce appearance, and only had the concern of his younger brother for his elder brother. And quote, "You get up first. I need to see the injured person first." And quote. The little medical fairy's light voice sounded, calming Lin Hu's restless mood. And quote, "Yes, look at my big brother first." And quote. Then Lin Hu took the little medical fairy to his big brother Lin Long's side. And quote, "He is poisoned." And quote. Xiao Yi Xian came to Lin Long's body with a serious face and saw his black face, and her pretty face changed. Then she stretched out her jade hand and checked Lin Long's wound. And quote. He was bitten by a snake. And quote. Then the little medical fairy turned to look at Lin Hu with an anxious look, and said solemnly, and quote, "What kind of poisonous snake bit him?" And quote. Hearing this, Lin Hu's rough face was stunned and then showed a puzzled look. And quote. "That snake was very fast. I didn't see it clearly. I only remember that it had black and white colors." And quote. And quote. "My big brother fainted after being bitten." And quote. As he said this, Lin Hu's face showed a fierce look. If something happened to his big brother, he would have to kill that snake. And quote. Black and white colors. And quote. Hearing this, the little medical fairy frowned, and then thought of something. Her pretty face changed. And quote. "Oh no, he might have been poisoned by the mandrake snake." And quote. And quote. "What? It's the mandrake snake venom." And quote. Hearing her words, Lin Hu's rough face changed drastically, and a trace of despair appeared in his eyes. As a veteran mercenary, he had never seen a mandrake snake, but he had heard of the fame of the mandrake snake venom. The mandrake snake was a second-order demon beast. Its venom was extremely poisonous. After being bitten, it was almost incurable. And quote. I didn't expect him to be poisoned by the mandrake snake venom. The mandrake snake venom is extremely poisonous. I am afraid that he won't live long. And quote. The staff of Medicinal Hall next to them heard the little medical fairy's words and looked at Lin Long lying on the ground with some pity, as if looking at a dead person. And quote. Little medical fairy, please save my big brother. You are a divine doctor with superb medical skills. You must have a way, right? And quote. And quote. Little medical fairy, I beg you. And quote. Suddenly, Lin Hu looked at the little medical fairy in front of him and kowtowed to her like crazy. And quote. Don't do this. And quote. Seeing this scene, the little medical fairy's face changed slightly, and a trace of reluctance flashed in her beautiful eyes. She hesitated and said, and quote. There is only one way to solve the mandrake snake venom. And quote. And quote. What way? And quote. Hearing this, Lin Hu immediately raised his head, ignoring the blood on his forehead, and asked eagerly, and quote. Mandrake snake gall? And quote. Xiao Yi Xian looked at Lin Hu with a very serious face, and quote. Only the mandrake snake gall can solve the mandrake snake venom. And quote. And quote. Mandrake snake gall? And quote. Lin Hu was stunned for a moment, and then a firm look flashed in his eyes. He said, and quote. I'll get the snake gall. And quote. As he said, he was about to get up and leave, and quote, "You only have 3 hours, and quote." The little medical fairy reminded him, and quote, "The mandrake snake venom is extremely fierce. I can only try my best to suppress it for 3 hours. You must get back the snake gall within 3 hours, and quote, 3 hours, and quote." Lin Hu muttered to himself, glanced at his unconscious big brother on the ground, and then left directly towards the Demon Beast Mountain range. Watching Lin Hu leave, everyone in 10,000 Medicine Hall was silent. After Lin Hu left, the little medical fairy took out a jade bottle from her arms and poured out a pill to give Lin Long. As the pill entered Lin Long's body, his face looked somewhat improved. However, Xiao Yixian's pretty face still wore a worried expression. She knew that her antidote could only temporarily suppress the poison in Lin Long's body. After 3 hours, the mandrake snake venom would resurface, rendering even her antidote useless. And quote, "Alas, if only I were an alchemist, and quote, with the skills of an alchemist, I could undoubtedly neutralize the mandrake snake venom," and quote. Thinking of alchemy, a trace of loneliness flickered in the little medical fairy's beautiful eyes. She had pursued the path of alchemy since childhood but had never been able to make a breakthrough. Therefore, she understood the challenges of becoming an alchemist. She sighed softly and slowly rose. The only hope now was to rely on Lin Hu to obtain the mandrake snake gall. However, she was aware of how slim this hope was. Considering Lin Hu's strength as a 5-star Do practitioner, obtaining the snake gall of a second-order demon beast like the mandrake snake seemed nearly impossible. As time passed, everyone in 10,000 Medicine Hall gazed at Lin Long lying on the ground, and the atmosphere gradually grew somber. And quote, "Only half an hour left," and quote. The little medical fairy looked at the sky and muttered to herself. She examined Lin Long's blackened face once again and shook her head helplessly. As a healer, witnessing a patient on the brink of death was a heart-wrenching experience. If only she could become an alchemist. Time ticked away, approaching the 3-hour mark. The little medical fairy glanced outside, hoping to spot Lin Hu's figure. Unfortunately, Lin Hu remained absent. She approached Lin Long and extended her jade hand to check. The mandrake snake venom had now spread throughout his limbs and bones. And quote, "Is there truly no hope?" And quote, a trace of sadness crossed her beautiful eyes. The little medical fairy sighed softly. And quote, "Hey, it seems I arrived just in time." And quote, at that moment, a clear voice resonated at the entrance of 10,000 Medicine Hall. Upon hearing the voice, Xiao Yixian couldn't help but turn her attention. A man in white had materialized at the hall's entrance without notice. When Xiao Yixian beheld the man's face, her own countenance became somewhat stupefied. This man in white possessed an otherworldly temperament. Not only was his handsome face reminiscent of a celestial being, but his deep, star-like eyes were enchanting. The little medical fairy and Gu He exchanged gazes. And quote, "This is Xiao Yixian. She is indeed as described in the books," and quote. Observing the little medical fairy's sweet countenance, Gu He sighed internally. And quote, "May I inquire about your name?" And quote. After a brief pause, Xiao Yixian refocused her attention and asked softly. And quote, "My surname is Gu," and quote. Gu He spoke with clarity. This middle-aged man was none other than Gu He, who had traveled for 3 days from Yunlan sect to reach Qingshan town. And quat, goo, and quat, and quat. What did Mr. Goo mean by his earlier statement, and quat? Recollecting Goo Hee's words, Xiao Yi Xian asked with curiosity. And quat? I meant that I can remedy this mandrake snake venom, and quat? Goo Hee's gaze lingered on the little medical fairy. He smiled slightly, his expression gentle. And quat? Mr. Goo is also a doctor, and quat? The little medical fairy's eyes brightened with hope. And quat? I suppose you could consider me a doctor, and quat? Being a doctor was, in essence, part of being an alchemist. However, their status paled in comparison to true alchemists, as they couldn't refine actual pills. Instead, they utilized ordinary flames to mix herbs, achieving only the basic healing effects. Yet, this fell far short of the potency of alchemical pills. Every doctor dreamed of ascending to the rank of alchemist, but many spent their entire lives without achieving this aspiration, hindered by a lack of talent and proper guidance. And quat? Since Mr. Goo can resolve the mandrake snake venom, please assist. Time is of the essence. And quat? The little medical fairy, thinking of Lin Long, quickly implored Goo Hee. And quat? Hey he, it's just a trifling matter of mandrake snake venom. What difficulty is there? And quat? Goo Hee smiled lightly and approached Lin Long. From somewhere, he produced a jade bottle, poured out a pill, and administered it to Lin Long. And quat? What kind of pill is this, Mr. Goo? And quat? The little medical fairy observed the pill in Goo Hee's hand, noticing its distinction from the pills she crafted. Her eyes lit up with curiosity. And quat? It's a simple detoxification pill, and quat? Goo Hee's smile remained casual. He had just given Lin Long a second-grade pill, the detoxification pill. For Goo Hee, a sixth-grade alchemist, a second-grade pill was indeed unremarkable. And quat? Just an ordinary detoxification pill, and quat? Puzzled, the little medical fairy questioned whether a commonplace detoxification pill could truly counteract the mandrake snake venom. She scrutinized Lin Long for any changes. In the next moment, surprise flickered in her eyes. Despite Lin Long's face darkening again after taking the pill, the darkness gradually receded. This indicated a gradual dissipation of the mandrake snake venom in Lin Long's body. And quat? This? And quat? Xiao Yi Xian's eyes widened, her lips slightly parted, and her face registered surprise. And quat? The mandrake snake venom was actually neutralized like this. Mr. Goo's medical skills are truly astounding, aren't they? And quat? Witnessing this scene, everyone in their medicine hall regarded Goo Hee with admiration. Mr. Goo had successfully countered the mandrake snake venom. After a while, Lin Long's complexion began to visibly return to normal. The little medical fairy examined him and smiled sweetly. And quat? The snake venom in his body has been completely eliminated. And quat? Subsequently, the little medical fairy turned to Goo Hee with her beautiful eyes and smiled softly. And quat? Thanks to Mr. Goo's miraculous pill, we were able to counter the mandrake snake venom. On behalf of 10,000 Medicine Hall, I express my gratitude to Mr. Goo. And quat? Lin Long, a patient of her medicine hall, had now been cured by Goo Hee. The little medical fairy felt compelled to express her thanks. And quat? It's merely a second-grade pill. Nothing noteworthy. And quat? Goo Hee dismissed it with a smile. And quat? Second-grade pill. And quat? However, at the mention of a second-grade pill, the little medical fairy's expression changed. And quat? Could it be that Mr. Gu is an alchemist, and quot? Sir, are you an alchemist, and quot? The little medical fairy's beautiful eyes blinked as she asked with anticipation. Gu he did not answer but just smiled and nodded. He really is an alchemist. Seeing Gu he nod in admission, the little medical fairy's pretty face showed a surprised expression. Her biggest wish was to become an alchemist. But she had always been frustrated by the lack of opportunities to meet one. After all, in the small Qingshan town, where would noble alchemists come? The little medical fairy's eyes were full of excitement, and she wanted to ask him, but she was afraid of being rude. She had never seen a real alchemist, but she had heard many stories about them from other mercenaries. Legend has it that alchemists are aloof and arrogant, and ordinary people can hardly get along with them. And quot? Maybe this Mr. Gu is an exception. And quot? The little medical fairy looked at Gu He and thought of this idea. After all, looking at Gu He's clear smile and handsome face, he was really attractive to get close to. Such a person should be different from other alchemists. Hearing the conversation between Gu He and the little medical fairy, the other staff members of the medicine hall also showed shocked expressions on their faces. This gentleman was actually an alchemist. The people looked at Gu He with reverence in their eyes. In their hearts, the status of an alchemist was extremely noble. And he could also take out a second-grade pill, which meant that this gentleman was at least a second-grade alchemist. Thinking of this, the people looked at Gu He with awe. And quot? Big brother, and quot? Just then, there were a few shouts outside of 10,000 Medicine Hall, with a trace of misery in their voices. Then, a ragged figure appeared at the door of the Medicine Hall. It was Lin Hu who had left earlier. At this moment, Lin Hu's rough face was full of grief. His eyes were tearful. He suddenly threw himself on Lin Long's body on the ground. And quot? Big brother, I'm sorry. I'm useless. And quot? 3 hours had passed, and Lin Hu thought that his big brother had died of poison. Xiao Yixian showed a smile on her pretty face and said softly, and quot? Your big brother is fine now. And quot? Hearing this, Lin Hu was stunned. He then looked at Lin Long's face, which had returned to normal. His eyes showed surprise. And quot? My big brother's snake venom has been solved. And quot? Lin Hu excitedly checked Lin Long's injuries. After confirming that his big brother's snake venom had been solved, he quickly knelt in front of the little medical fairy and said gratefully, and quot? Little medical fairy, thank you for saving my big brother's life. I, Lin Hu, am grateful. And quot? Lin Long and Lin Hu were orphans since they were young. The two brothers depended on each other for survival. Their brotherhood was very deep. In Lin Hu's heart, saving his big brother's life was no different from saving his own life. Seeing Lin Hu suddenly kneeling in front of her, the little medical fairy was startled. She then showed an embarrassed expression on her pretty face and quickly explained, and quot? It wasn't me who saved your big brother. It was this Mr. Gu, and quot? As she spoke, the little medical fairy looked at Gu He next to her. And quot? Mr. Gu, and quot? Lin Hu was stunned. He looked at Gu He with confusion. This person didn't seem to be from Qingshan town. Was it him who saved my big brother? Seeing Lin Hu stunned there, the little medical fairy was afraid that he would offend Gu He. She quickly reminded him, and quot? Mr. Gu is an alchemist. Your big brother took Mr. Goo's pill and was able to solve the mandrake snake venom. And quat. Alchemist, and quat. Hearing this, Lin Hu's heart shook. This person was actually an alchemist. When he reacted, he quickly knelt in front of Gu He again and said respectfully, and quat. Thank you for saving my big brother's life. I, Lin Hu, am grateful, and quat. Gu He smiled lightly and said casually, and quat. Don't worry about it. Saving a life is better than building a 7-level pagoda, and quat. It's just a second-grade pill. It's very worthwhile to exchange it for a life, and quat. Carefully savoring Gu He's words, a hint of admiration flashed in the little medical fairy's beautiful eyes. She looked at Gu He with respect. It seemed that Mr. Gu was really a good person. Gu He's arrival overturned the little medical fairy's previous understanding of alchemists. And quat. It seems that alchemists are not as aloof and unapproachable as the legends say, and quat. The little medical fairy looked at Gu He's elegant and easy-going attitude and thought of a bold idea. I wonder if I can ask him to teach me alchemy. And quat. Second-grade pill, and quat. And hearing Gu He's words, Lin Hu was even more shocked. As a mercenary, he often dealt with some merchants. He naturally understood the value of a second-grade pill. Thinking of this, Lin Hu was even more grateful to Gu He. And quat. Mr. Gu, I and my brother will never forget your kindness. If you have any orders in the future, we will do whatever you say, and quat. Gu He showed a helpless expression on his face. This person had a good heart. If it weren't for his low strength, he would consider taking him in. He smiled and said, and quat. No need for that. It's just a second-grade pill. You'd better take your big brother back and rest well. And quat. Yes, sir. And quat. Hearing this, Lin Hu was stunned. Then he kowtowed to Gu He 3 times. He then carried his big brother and left the medicine hall. And quat. Mr. Gu, thank you for helping me out of Wan Yao Zhai. I don't know if I can invite Mr. Gu to move to the inner room and have a cup of tea, and quat. After Lin Hu left, the little medical fairy's eyes flashed, and she took the initiative to invite him. Gu He's purpose here was for Xiao Yi Xian. He naturally wouldn't refuse. He smiled and nodded, and quat. Okay, I'm a bit thirsty, and quat. Seeing Gu He agree, the little medical fairy's eyes showed a hint of joy. She smiled slightly and said respectfully, and quat. Sir, please follow me, and quat. Gu He nodded and then followed the little medical fairy into the inner room of Wan Yao Zhai. After entering the inner room, the little medical fairy soon served the fragrant tea, and quat. I hope you don't mind if I ask, what is Mr. Gu's purpose for coming to Qingshan town? Maybe I can help. And quat. Perhaps seeing that Gu He was more easygoing, the little medical fairy plucked up the courage and asked, and quat. Hey I came to Qingshan town mainly to relax and also to enter the Demon Beast mountain range to find some spiritual herbs, and quat. Gu He took a sip of the fragrant tea and smiled lightly, and quat. Then Mr. Gu will stay in Qingshan town for a while, and quat. Hearing Gu He's words, the little medical fairy's heart was immediately happy. As long as Mr. Gu didn't leave soon, it meant that there was a chance. And quat. And quat. Gu He nodded lightly, and quat. Sir, I'm quite familiar with the outer area of the Demon Beast mountain range. If you are looking for spiritual herbs, I might be able to help. And quat. The little medical fairy's eyes turned, and she suggested to Goo. He. And quat. Oh, and quat. Goo. He was looking for an opportunity to get closer to the little medical fairy. Her suggestion was exactly what he wanted. He pretended to hesitate for a while and then nodded, and quat. Then I'll have to trouble you then, and quat. And quat. It's not a bother, not a bother, and quat. Upon hearing Goo Hee's agreement to her request, little medical fairy's spirits lifted. She quickly responded with a coquettish tone. For her, just having the opportunity to be close to the alchemist before her was already quite satisfying. In case he's willing to give her some guidance, that would be a great boon. Little did she know, at this moment, Goo Hee had similar thoughts. The reason he hadn't directly proposed taking little medical fairy as his apprentice was to become familiar with her first. After all, they were strangers. Suddenly offering apprenticeship might be presumptuous. If she rejected it, it would be embarrassing. To smoothly take her as an apprentice, Goo Hee aimed to get to know her. At least make her trust him. Truly accept him. Once they formed a connection, she'd understand him better. Then, the apprenticeship would naturally fall into place. Seeing Goo Hee's approachability, Xiao Yi Xian gained confidence and asked more questions. Goo Hee remained patient, answering each one with a smile. Tap, tap, tap. Footsteps sounded outside the door. Goo Hee looked, seeing a middle-aged man in blue robes enter. Seeing him, Xiao Yi Xian's brows furrowed. She seemed unhappy her moment with Goo Hee was disrupted. And quat. This is the esteemed alchemist, right? And quat. As the middle-aged man entered, he fixed his gaze on Goo Hee and spoke respectfully. And quat. Who are you? And quat. Goo Hee was surprised, a bit annoyed by the interruption. Who's this? He was chatting with his soon-to-be disciple. Who's this guy barging in? And quat. Hey he, I'm surnamed Yao, the owner of 10,000 Medicine Hall. Upon learning the esteemed alchemist was here, I came to pay respects, and quat. Owner. Yao showed extreme deference in front of Goo Hee, almost excessively flattering. The owner of the Medicine Hall. Goo Hee remembered such a character from the original story. And quat. Mr. Yao, what brings you here? And quat. Little medical fairy was worried that Goo Hee might get upset, so she spoke quickly. And quat. Yi Xian, why didn't you tell me the esteemed alchemist was here at our medicine hall? And quat. Owner Yao looked reproachfully at her, then smiled at Goo Hee. And quat. Esteemed alchemist. You must be tired. I've prepared a feast. I hope you'll join us at my residence. And quat. Despite feeling uncomfortable with owner Yao's flattery, Goo Hee couldn't reject it outright. He didn't want to sound rude just as he met someone and ruin his amiable image. And quat. No feast is needed. I'll be in Kingshan town for a while. Could you help me find quiet lodging? And quat. And quat. Also, I'm surnamed Goo, so call me Mr. Goo. And quat. Hearing repeated and quat. Esteemed alchemist. And quat. Goo Hee felt awkward and quickly corrected him. Hearing Goo Hee's words, Yao hadn't spoken, but little medical fairy lit up. She suggested. And quat. Mr. Yao, you have spare rooms. Please prepare one for Mr. Goo. And quat. And quat. And quat. Upon hearing this, Mr. Yao was briefly taken aback, then quickly responded. And quat. Indeed, Mr. Goo Hee, you might consider staying in my courtyard. It's very peaceful there. and I assure you it won't disturb you. And quote. Mr. Yao wasn't foolish. If the alchemist before him stayed at his residence, if news got out, who in Qingshan town would dare to offend him? After all, in Qingshan town, no one could withstand the anger of a second-tier alchemist. Even the strongest wolf-head mercenary group wouldn't provoke an alchemist. And quote. All right, then. I'll stay in your courtyard for a few days. And quote. He hesitated briefly before agreeing. After a moment's hesitation, he nodded slightly and agreed. He remembered that in the original story, Xiao Yixian seemed to have lived in the backyard of this and quote, Mr. Yao, and quote, if he and little medical fairy shared the same space, it would be advantageous for his upcoming plans. Upon hearing Gu He's agreement, Xiao Yixian was also excited. Living in the same courtyard as Mr. Gu, how could she miss this opportunity for future interactions? A little while later, accompanied by Mr. Yao and little medical fairy, he walked a few streets and arrived at an estate. The estate was quite unique, with a dozen guards stationed at the entrance. It seemed that 10,000 medicine halls' influence in Qingshan town was substantial. After entering the estate, Mr. Yao led Gu He to a tranquil room. And quote, Sir, take a look at this room. Does it meet your preferences? And quote, Mr. Yao led Gu He to a room and asked with a smile. And quote, it's quite nice. This room will do. And quote, Gu He glanced and then nodded in approval. Little medical fairy followed behind, her eyes brightening with a hint of joy. Gu He's room wasn't far from hers, and it seemed her room was situated in a location that Gu He would have to pass through frequently. It appeared even fate was aiding her. And quote, I'll go prepare some daily necessities for you. And quote, with Gu He's agreement, Mr. Yao's face lit up, and he excused himself. And quote, Sir, my room is close to yours. If you plan to gather herbs on the mountain, you can call on me any time. And quote, after Mr. Yao left, little medical fairy's eyes sparkled as she quickly approached, offering her assistance. And quote, all right. And quote, Gu He nodded with a smile. And quote, well then, I'll take my leave. And quote, little medical fairy hesitated. For a moment, she thought it best to wait until they were more familiar before seeking guidance on alchemy. After all, they had just met on the first day. Asking too much might cause a negative impression. Watching little medical fairy leave, Gu He's lips curled slightly. Judging from her behavior, it seemed she had a favorable impression of him. Perhaps, after they became more familiar, proposing apprenticeship wouldn't be met with refusal. And so, Gu He officially settled in Qingshan town. After 2 calm days at Mr. Yao's manor, Gu He took the initiative to approach Xiao Yixian. He asked her to accompany him into the Demon Beast mountain range to gather herbs. This was something Xiao Yixian had been anticipating. Without much thought, she agreed wholeheartedly when Gu He approached her. In the blink of an eye, 7 days had passed. With several experiences of herb gathering on the mountain, the relationship between the current Xiao Yixian and Gu He had become quite familiar. During this time, Gu He generously shared his knowledge of alchemy whenever Xiao Yixian had questions, earning even more of her respect. On this day, after returning from herb gathering on the mountain, Gu He freshened up and was about to begin his cultivation. At that moment, a knock echoed through his room, followed by the melodious voice of Xiao Yixian outside. And quote, Sir, I've made some chicken soup myself. Would you like to have some? And quat. Hearing the voice, Gu He opened his eyes, a hint of surprise flickering within. Why was Xiao Yi Xian coming to find him so late, bringing chicken soup? And quat. Come in, and quat. Gu He's clear voice resonated shortly after. Creak. As Gu He's words faded, the door was pushed open, and the graceful figure of Xiao Yi Xian slowly entered the room. With a food container in her hands, she raised it toward Gu He and playfully said, and quat. Mr. Gu, I've been in Qingshan town for a while now, and I haven't had the chance to let you taste my cooking yet, and quat. After spending a few days with Gu He, Xiao Yi Xian had noticed that this esteemed alchemist didn't seem to carry an air of superiority. He was approachable. Thus, she had fully relaxed around him, no longer as reserved as she had been initially. And quat. Sure, I'll taste your cooking, and quat. Gu He always had a smile on his face, and he felt somewhat anticipatory. In the original work, it seemed to mention that Xiao Yi Xian was quite skilled in cooking. If he were to take this girl under his wing, wouldn't he be in for a treat? The obedient Xiao Yi Xian served a bowl of chicken soup to Gu He. After taking a sip, Gu He's eyes lit up. And quat. I didn't expect your cooking to be this good, young lady, and quat. Gu He didn't hold back his praise for Xiao Yi Xian. And quat. If you like it, I'll make it for you every day from now on. And quat. Seeing Gu He enjoying her chicken soup, Xiao Yi Xian beamed with happiness. Every day. At these words, Gu He blinked slightly, then put on a regretful expression, hesitating before saying, and quat. I did want to have your chicken soup every day, but unfortunately, and quat. And quat. What's unfortunate? And quat. Xiao Yi Xian was a bit puzzled. And quat. Unfortunately, I'll be leaving Qingshan town in a little while, and quat. Gu He said slowly. And quat. Ah, you're leaving, sir, and quat. Upon hearing Gu He's words, Xiao Yi Xian was taken aback. During this period, she had learned a lot about alchemy from Gu He and gained significant benefits. She felt that if she continued learning from him, she might become a true alchemist herself. Now, with Gu He suddenly mentioning his departure, Xiao Yi Xian found it hard to accept. And quat. Well, I've been in Qingshan town for quite some time. It's probably time to move on, and quat. Gu He said, a touch of sadness in his tone. And quat. It's a pity, though. After leaving Qingshan town, I won't be able to taste your cooking anymore. And quat. And quat. When do you plan to leave Shan town, sir? And quat. Xiao Yi Xian pursed her lips, asking. And quat. Perhaps tomorrow, or the day after. It should be within these 2 days. And quat. Gu He took a sip of the chicken soup, then continued slowly. During this time, Gu He believed he had left a favorable impression on Xiao Yi Xian. He intended to propose the idea of her becoming his apprentice on the day he left Qingshan town. If she agreed, he would stay a bit longer. If she declined, he was prepared to leave for the Targray Desert directly. He had inquired with the system, and it confirmed that a disciple must genuinely acknowledge him as their master. Forcibly taking on a disciple wouldn't trigger their system's return mechanism. Hearing Gu He's words, Xiao Yi Xian fell silent for a moment. After hesitating for a while, her gaze gradually turned resolute, and she said with a hint of implication, and quat. Actually, sir, if you truly wish to have chicken soup every day, there might be a way. And quat. Oh, and quat. At these words, a hint of curiosity appeared in Gu He's eyes as he said, and quat. Please, tell me more. And quat. If you're willing to take me as your apprentice, I'd be happy to cook chicken soup for you every day. And quat. Xiao Yixian's face bloomed with a playful smile, her gaze fixed on Gu He. Xiao Yixian's tone carried a touch of teasing as if she were joking with Gu He. But in reality, at this moment, Xiao Yixian felt incredibly nervous. She wasn't certain if her words would anger Gu He. As Gu He heard Xiao Yixian's words, his expression momentarily froze. And once he processed her words, a sense of anticipation rose within him. Could it be that Xiao Yixian is indicating that she wants to become my disciple? With such thoughts swirling in his mind, Gu He also worried that Xiao Yixian might be joking. Thus, he carefully considered his words, his gaze shifting to the petite figure across from him. With a light chuckle, he said, and quat. Haha, if you're willing, I certainly will take you as my disciple. And quat. Are you serious, sir? And quat. Hearing Gu He's words, Xiao Yixian's eyes brightened, excitement gleaming in her gaze. Immediately, she rose from her seat, gracefully bowed to Gu He, and her melodious voice rang out, and quat. Disciple greets the teacher, and quat. Watching this sequence of actions from Xiao Yixian, Gu He's expression turned somewhat bewildered. Xiao Yixian, it turns out, is actually serious. Xiao Yixian, are you serious? And quat. Looking at Xiao Yixian, who was currently performing the ceremony of becoming his disciple, Gu He was momentarily taken aback. And quat. Of course, I'm serious. And quat. A sweet smile graced Xiao Yixian's face. Seeing Gu He was seemingly lost in thought, her expression quickly turned disappointed. And quat. Could it be, Mr. Gu, that you were just joking earlier? You actually don't intend to take me as your disciple? And quat. No. And quat. Gu He quickly denied, somewhat excitedly, and quat. I'm serious. And quat. Then he calmed down, gazing earnestly at Xiao Yixian, and slowly said, and quat. Starting today, you are the second disciple of Gu He. And quat. Since Xiao Yixian had already taken the initiative to become his disciple, Gu He didn't intend to conceal his identity, and he spoke openly. Upon hearing Gu He's confirmation, Xiao Yixian's face once again lit up with a smile. And quat. Gu He, and quat. Is that the name of the teacher? And quat. Xiao Yixian muttered to herself, feeling like she had heard this name before. As she repeated the name, a flash of realization crossed her mind, and she looked at the Gu He before her in astonishment, exclaiming, and quat. Teacher, you're alchemy king Gu He? And quat. Xiao Yi. Xian stared at Gu He with wide eyes, her lips slightly parted, as if seeing Gu He for the first time. Facing her astonished gaze, Gu He smiled faintly, then nodded, saying, and quat. Indeed, that's right. Your teacher is alchemy king Gu He. And quat. Although he maintained a smile on his face, Gu He secretly vowed to himself that he needed to shed this title as soon as possible. Currently, his strength had already reached the level of a 9-star Dou King, just a step away from breaking through to the Dou Emperor realm. By then, he should change his title to and quat. Alchemy Emperor Gu He, and quat. The title and quat, Alchemy Emperor and quat, sounded much more imposing than and quat, Alchemy King, and quat. Now that he had taken Xiao Yi Xian as his disciple, achieving this goal wouldn't be too difficult. My teacher really is Alchemy King. That's actually Alchemy King. Seeing Gu He confessing, Xiao Yi Xian was utterly bewildered, her mind struggling to catch up. Alchemy King Gu. He was, to her, akin to a legendary figure. She couldn't have dreamed that one day she would actually become the disciple of Alchemy King Gu He. She stared at Gu He in a daze, momentarily rendered speechless. Gu He waved his hand in front of her, chuckling, and quat, silly girl, what are you thinking? Haven't you processed it yet? And quat. And quat. Teacher. And quat, Xiao Yi Xian snapped back to reality and looked at Gu He, her words suddenly stumbling. And quat. You little one. You've become more distant after becoming a disciple. And quat. Gu He laughed and reassured. And quat. Go rest for now. Tomorrow, your teacher will impart the ways of alchemy to you. And quat. Seeing Xiao Yi Xian's absent-mindedness and her incomplete comprehension, Gu He abandoned his intention to impart the and quat greeting ceremony, and quat. Rushing things wouldn't lead to success. It was clear that Xiao Yi Xian wasn't fully present in the moment, so he wasn't in a hurry. And quat. Yes, teacher, and quat. And quat. In that case, the disciple will take her leave, and quat. Hearing Gu He's comforting words, Xiao Yi Xian felt somewhat reassured. She bowed to Gu He and then, with graceful steps, left his room. And quat. This girl. It seems she truly hasn't caught up yet. And quat. Gu He looked at the leftover bowl and chopsticks on the table, shook his head, and proceeded to tidy up. And quat. Greetings, teacher, and quat. Early the next morning, just as Gu He had woken up, Xiao Yi Xian's graceful voice echoed outside his room. And quat. This girl is up so early. Could she have not slept all night? And quat. Hearing Xiao Yi Xian's voice, Gu He was somewhat surprised. Then, he walked over and slowly opened the door. And quat. Teacher, hey, good morning. And quat. Xiao Yi Xian appeared, holding a food container, her face adorned with a familiar playful smile. It seemed that at this moment, she had fully embraced Gu He's identity. And quat. Teacher, you haven't had breakfast yet, right? Your disciple brought some for you. And quat. Xiao Yi Xian opened the food container, and an alluring aroma instantly filled the room. Gu He couldn't help but feel his appetite stirred, nodding with a smile. And quat. All right, and quat. He couldn't help but think that having this disciple wasn't in vain. He now had guaranteed meals 3 times a day. Upon hearing this, Xiao Yi Xian happily brought out a bowl and chopsticks. After a night's contemplation, she had come to terms with everything. Her teacher being the Alchemy King, wasn't that even better? What was the point of all that turmoil? After all, within the Jia Ma Empire, which young person wouldn't want to be an apprentice under Alchemy King Gu He? Being able to study under her teacher was truly fortunate. At this moment, Xiao Yi Xian had completely adjusted her mindset. And quat. Disciple, today, I will officially begin imparting to you the ways of alchemy. And quat. After finishing breakfast and cleaning up, Gu He looked at Xiao Yi Xian and solemnly spoke. And quat. Ah, so soon? And quat. Xiao Yi Xian was surprised. Her teacher was really dedicated, wasn't he? It was only her first day as his disciple. And quote, yes, since you are already under my tutelage, I will explain to you the rules I have. And quote, Gu he looked at Xiao Yi. Xian, trying to maintain a serious demeanor. And quote, firstly, upon joining my sect, I will bestow upon you 3 welcoming gifts. You must accept these gifts without refusal. And quote. Secondly, I've always believed in rewarding those who contribute. In the future, whether you enhance my reputation externally or improve your skills internally, I will grant substantial rewards. And quote. Thirdly, as long as you do not betray the school, your actions are your own freedom, and I won't interfere. And quote. Initially, seeing Gu He's serious expression, Xiao Yi Xian thought he might impose some very strict requirements. However, upon hearing these 3 stipulations, she was left dumbfounded. And quote, teacher, is that all? And quote, Xiao Yi Xian blinked her sparkling eyes, looking at Gu He with some confusion. Gu He shook his head and chuckled. And quote, my school doesn't have so many rules for apprentices. Just these 3. And quote. That's too good. And quote, Xiao Yi Xian muttered softly. These 3 guidelines didn't seem like requirements at all. They were practically the ultimate perks for disciples. Xiao Yi Xian had initially thought that becoming an apprentice to the Alchemy King would involve strict regulations. But now it seemed she had been overthinking things. And quote, come, my obedient disciple, sit before me. I'm about to impart the ways of alchemy to you. And quote, Gu He gently spoke to Xiao Yi Xian. And quote, oh, and quote. Hearing this, Xiao Yi Xian felt a bit puzzled, but obediently sat down in front of Gu He. And quote, later, you mustn't be distracted. Focus your mind and spirit completely. Absorb the information I'm about to pass on to you. And quote. Understood, teacher. And quote, Xiao Yi Xian responded softly and then followed Gu He's instructions. As Gu He spoke, he reached out, placing his palm on Xiao Yi Xian's forehead. In the next moment, Gu He concentrated his own mind, issuing a command to the system. And quote, transfer all the alchemical insights in my mind to Xiao Yi Xian. And quote, system, transmit all the alchemy insights in my mind to Xiao Yi Xian. And quote, as Gu He silently commanded, the system swiftly activated. A surge of extensive information flowed from Gu He's palm, fervently injecting into Xiao Yi Xian's consciousness. And quote, the immense information felt like a sword thrust into the depths of Xiao Yi Xian's soul, causing her to involuntarily exclaim in pain. And quote, good disciple, endure it, calm your mind and focus, it will pass soon. And quote, seeing the discomfort on Xiao Yi Xian's face, Gu He couldn't help but regret, wondering if he had been too hasty, transmitting such a massive amount of information all at once. Could Xiao Yi Xian's strength withstand it? Hearing Gu He's reassurance, Xiao Yi Xian responded with a soft and quote, yes and quote, before gritting her teeth and enduring the piercing pain in her mind. Fortunately, the pain that entered Xiao Yi Xian's mind as quickly dissipated as it came. As her expression returned to normal, Gu He let out a sigh of relief. Thank goodness, she's okay. If something had gone wrong due to his actions, Gu He would have been consumed by guilt. Just as Gu He breathed a sigh of relief, a system prompt resounded in his mind. Detected that the host has imparted insights of a 6th-rank alchemist to second disciple, Xiao Yi Xian. Congratulations, the host has triggered a 10,000-fold return and obtained the inheritance of a 9th-rank alchemist. The inheritance of a 9th-rank alchemist has been issued to the system. Host, please check. Hearing the system's prompt, Gu He's mouth hung open, displaying astonishment. 10,000-fold return and inheritance of a 9th-rank alchemist. This, was it not unbelievably astounding? Gu He stood still, dazed for a moment. Then, his mind moved, and he directly entered the system's space. Once inside, he saw a luminous sphere suspended in the void. And what is this, the inheritance sphere of a 9th-rank alchemist? And what? Gu He gazed at the sphere in the void, his eyes gleaming with fiery determination. Would fusing with this sphere grant him the inheritance of a 9th-rank alchemist? 9th-rank alchemist? That's no ordinary rank. How many 9th-rank alchemists existed on the continent of Doqi? This was truly an existence at the pinnacle. Ding. Does the host accept the inheritance of a 9th-rank alchemist? As Gu He's consciousness approached the luminous sphere, he couldn't help but hear a system prompt in his mind. Upon hearing the prompt, Gu He momentarily hesitated. Then he considered that Xiao Yi Xian was still outside absorbing the information, so he decisively declined. What if Xiao Yi Xian woke up prematurely and disrupted his acceptance of the inheritance? That would be troublesome. Once again, the old saying proved true: haste makes waste. Gu He decided to refuse and wait until Xiao Yi Xian woke up. He would accept the inheritance when he was alone, undisturbed. In this way, he wouldn't be interrupted by anyone. With this plan in mind, Gu He's thoughts shifted, and his consciousness gradually withdrew from the system space. Back in the room, Gu He slowly opened his eyes to find Xiao Yi Xian still with her eyes closed, clearly absorbed in the process of receiving the information, he had diligently conveyed the alchemy insights from ranks 1 to 6 to Xiao Yi Xian. Given Xiao Yi Xian's strength, absorbing such an extensive amount of information was indeed a challenge. However, the thought of the 9th-rank alchemist inheritance sphere in the system space brought a satisfied smile to Gu He's lips. In the end, everything would be worth it. It was just unfortunate that Xiao Yi Xian had to endure the hardship. As he observed Xiao Yi Xian's furrowed brows, Gu He internally vowed, good disciple, you've suffered this time. I will make it up to you in the future. Gu He poured himself a cup of fragrant tea, savoring it while patiently waiting for Xiao Yi Xian to finish. After about an hour, Gu He had consumed 7 or 8 cups of tea, practically filling his stomach with liquid. At this moment, Xiao Yi Xian's eyelids twitched, and she finally opened her eyes slowly. Teacher? Xiao Yi Xian's beautiful eyes blinked open, first revealing a look of confusion, then recalling something that sparked excitement in her bright gaze. At this moment, she had absorbed almost all the information that Gu He had imparted into her mind. And it was precisely this information that filled her with excitement and astonishment. Insights of a 6th-rank alchemist. All the alchemical insights needed from 1st to 6th-rank alchemist, surprisingly, the teacher transmitted them all at once. Xiao Yi Xian recalled the information in her mind, vivid and deeply imprinted. She had a feeling these insights were already within her mind, unforgettable. Such a method Truly miraculous. Xiao Yi Xian knew these were left by the teacher in her mind. Thinking of the profound information in her mind, a slight smile formed. Teacher, your gift of meeting is truly significant. However, she recalled the 3 gifts Gu He mentioned earlier. This first gift was astonishing. What about the next 2? Thinking this, excitement colored Xiao Yi Xian's gaze. And quat. Hey hey, and quat. And quat. What are you thinking? And quat. And quat. Drooling, huh? And quat. At that moment, a large hand patted Xiao Yi Xian's head, snapping her out of her thoughts. Am I drooling? Xiao Yi Xian panicked, wiping her mouth. No, I'm not. Confused, she raised her head and saw a teasing expression on Gu He's face, understanding his intent. And quat? Teacher, you're teasing me, and quat? Xiao Yi Xian blushed, embarrassed. And quat? Hey he, and quat? Seeing her discomfort, Gu He smiled, gently asking, and quat? How do you feel? Any discomfort? And quat? Discomfort. Xiao Yi Xian blinked, then shook her head, her voice light, and quat? Teacher, I'm fine, and quat? Gu He nodded, serious. And quat? You must comprehend the alchemical insights I've passed on. Once you master them, you won't be far from the realm of a 6th rank alchemist. And quat? And quat? Yes, I understand. And quat? Xiao Yi Xian obediently replied. Afterwards, Gu He hesitated, seeing her fatigue. He decided to postpone further training until tomorrow. She had already faced many challenges today, she should rest. With a gentle tone, Gu He said, and quat? Apprentice, let's stop here for today. Go and rest, and quat? Naturally, Xiao Yi Xian nodded, tidied up the tableware, and left the room. Once she was gone, Gu He closed the door, sat on the bed, and immediately entered the system space. Looking at the hovering legacy light sphere, Gu He commanded, and quat? System, begin receiving the legacy of a 9th rank alchemist. And quat? As Gu He's words fell, the legacy light sphere transformed into a white light and entered Gu He's mind. As the legacy light sphere entered Gu He's mind, a massive influx of information exploded. Before Gu He could react, his mind was flooded with an overwhelming torrent of information. And quat? And quat? Caught off guard, Gu He couldn't help but let out a miserable cry. Countless profound pieces of information surged frantically within his mind. Gu He felt as if his soul had been thrown into a meat grinder, mercilessly torn apart. At this moment, he vividly experienced the pain Xiao Yi Xian had endured earlier. No, compared to Xiao Yi Xian, the agony he was currently facing was even more intense. After all, this was the legacy of a 9th rank alchemist. Forcing himself to endure the sensation of his soul tearing apart, Gu He steadied his mental state and concentrated fully on absorbing this immense wave of information. As the information within the legacy light sphere flooded into Gu He's mind, the deep pain in his soul grew stronger. Gu He's complexion had turned extremely pale, and his once handsome and refined face now looked incredibly distorted. He felt as if his consciousness was on the verge of sinking, gradually becoming blurry. Just as Gu He was about to slip into unconsciousness, something happened within his chest. More accurately, within his heart area, a burst of rainbow-colored light suddenly radiated. If Gu He's consciousness had been clear at this moment, he would have seen it inside his body. a heart emitting enigmatic runes, enveloped in a rainbow-colored glow. The rainbow glow gradually shrouded Gu He's entire body. From the outside, his figure became obscured, leaving only a ball of light sitting on the bed. As the rainbow light surged into the depths of his soul, Gu He immediately felt a cool sensation flowing through his soul, gradually restoring his clarity of mind. Sensing the changes in his body, surprise flashed in Gu He's eyes. Then, his consciousness delved into his body, and he discovered the heart that was emitting the rainbow-colored light. This is the effect of the 7-aperture exquisite pill heart. Gu He instantly understood everything. He hadn't expected the 7-aperture exquisite pill heart to have such an effect. Gu He's heart rejoiced, quickly focusing his mind to receive the immense information in his thoughts. With the aid of the 7-orifice exquisite heart pill, Gu He felt no pain as he smoothly absorbed the entire inheritance light sphere's information. As the room shimmered with multicolored light, time passed by. The sky gradually darkened, soon reaching evening. At this moment, the multicolored radiance on Gu He's body finally faded away. Simultaneously, Gu He on the bed slowly opened his eyes, a gleam of utmost excitement in his gaze. And quat. I did it, and quat. And quat. I succeeded, and quat. Gu He got up instantly, his handsome face lit with uncontrollable excitement. He had completely accepted the information into his mind. Upon closing his eyes, the extensive knowledge from the 9th rank alchemist's inheritance rapidly flashed through his mind, as if these details were deeply etched in his mind, never to be forgotten. Now, his mind held the alchemical insights of a 9th rank alchemist's lifetime. Eyes gleaming with excitement, Gu He was eager to bring out the cauldron and start concocting medicine. Yet, his remaining composure made him pause. Alchemy required a calm and composed mind, and his current state was far from suitable. Coming to the table, Gu He poured himself a cup of fragrant tea. As the steaming liquid entered his stomach, he gradually calmed down. During his newfound calm, Gu He also noticed some changes in himself. Firstly, after receiving the vast information from the 9th rank alchemist's inheritance light sphere, it seemed that his spiritual power had greatly increased. Regarding this outcome, Gu He blinked slightly, then displayed a bitter smile. It really wasn't in vain, the immense pain he had just endured. Indeed, it confirmed that old saying, "There's no gain without pain." Gu He carefully sensed within and was astonished to discover that his current spiritual power had met the requirements for the strength of a 7th rank alchemist's soul. To become a 7th rank alchemist, apart from achieving the standard in alchemy, there was also a need for matching spiritual power intensity. And in both aspects, for Gu He, who had now inherited the 9th rank alchemist's legacy, both had been achieved. In other words, Gu He now possessed the potential to strive for Du Emperor. With the numerous refined alchemical secrets inherited within his mind, Gu He had tremendous confidence in reaching the level of a Du Emperor. Furthermore, Gu He realized that his cultivation bottleneck seemed to have loosened. At this rate, even without external assistance, he would likely break through to the Du Emperor realm in no time. Unexpectedly, this time he had reaped so many additional benefits. Upon concluding his reflections, a satisfied smile adorned Gu He's face. Lifting the teacup, he gently took a sip, feeling somewhat eager for tomorrow's arrival. The next day, the sun was already high, and Gu He was still sleeping soundly. Perhaps It was the integration of that immense information yesterday that left Gu He feeling somewhat fatigued. This was quite unusual for him, who was accustomed to waking up early. And quat, teacher, and quat, and quat, teacher, and quat. It was Xiao Yi Xian's gentle and sweet voice from outside that finally stirred Gu He from his slumber. Glancing at the sky outside, Gu He finally realized that he had overslept. Hearing Xiao Yi Xian's voice from outside, Gu He couldn't help but wryly smile, and quat. Seems like there are some after effects from yesterday, and quat. However, the feeling of sleeping in was quite nice. And quat. Teacher, teacher, and quat. Seeing no response from inside, Xiao Yi Xian called out a few more times. And quat, coming, and quat. Gu He shouted and then efficiently got dressed, walking over to open the door. And quat, teacher, are you still not awake? And quat. Xiao Yi Xian poked her head into the room, glanced around, and her face was filled with doubt. Hearing this, Gu He looked embarrassed. In this new world, the only time he had ever slept in, and his disciple caught him red-handed. And quat, cough cough, well, and quat. Just as Gu He was about to come up with an explanation, Xiao Yi Xian suddenly seemed to realize something. Her expression changed, and she blamed herself, and quat, teacher, it's not because of yesterday that you got tired, right, and quat. And quat. It's not your fault, and quat. Gu He began, but Xiao Yi Xian was already blaming herself further. And quat. And quat. Gu He was slightly taken aback by her words, thinking she was quite imaginative. And quat. It's nothing. And quat. Gu He gently patted Xiao Yi Xian's head, comforting her, and quat. Good disciple. It's just that your teacher was being lazy. It has nothing to do with you, and quat. And quat. Really, and quat. Upon hearing Gu He's words, Xiao Yi Xian stopped blaming herself and blinked her eyes, looking at Gu He with skepticism. And quat. Can your teacher even lie to you? Today, your teacher will give you a second gift. And quat. Gu He smiled warmly and beckoned to Xiao Yi Xian, and quat. Come here and sit down, and quat. And quat. Oh, and quat. Xiao Yi Xian nodded her little head obediently, coming over to Gu He and sitting down. Watching Xiao Yi Xian sitting in front of him, Gu He's lips curved into a smile. He then gently pressed his palm onto Xiao Yi Xian's back. And quat. System. Initiate the transfer of cultivation to Xiao Yi Xian. And quat. Gu He closed his eyes and silently commanded. Following Gu He's order, a surge of dou qi within him began to gather towards his palm and then flowed into Xiao Yi Xian's body. Xiao Yi Xian was curious about what her teacher was about to transmit to her when she suddenly felt a massive surge of energy pass through her teacher's palm and rush crazily into her body. Simultaneously, immense pain swept through her body. And quat. Focus your mind and calm your breath. Do your best to absorb this power. And quat. And quat. If it becomes unbearable, let me know. And quat. At this moment, Gu He's slightly stern voice echoed in Xiao Yi Xian's ears. Upon hearing this, the panic in Xiao Yi Xian's heart subsided instantly. She endured the pain within her body, concentrating on absorbing the power. With the infusion of power from Gu He's palm, Xiao Yi Xian's cultivation realm rapidly advanced. With a muffled sound, Xiao Yi Xian broke through to the 6th stage of Du Disciple. After a moment, her aura underwent another change. She advanced to the 7th stage of Du Qi. However, perhaps due to the external force being too intense, a hint of paleness appeared on Xiao Yixian's pretty face. Yet, even now, Xiao Yixian clenched her teeth and persisted. Not much time passed before another change occurred in Xiao Yixian's aura. The 8th stage of Du Disciple. The 9th stage of Du Disciple. And quat. And quat. As she was about to break through to the level of a Do practitioner, Xiao Yixian finally reached her limit. Feeling that continuing would cause her body to explode, she couldn't help but cry out. And quat. Teacher, this disciple can't endure it any longer. And quat. Hearing Xiao Yixian's voice, hint of disappointment flashed in Gu He's eyes. However, without the slightest hesitation, he immediately ceased infusing Do Qi. Xiao Yixian had reached her limit. Pushing further would only harm her. Ding! Detected the host granting second disciple Xiao Yixian 2 days of cultivation. Congratulations, host, for triggering a 1,000-fold return, gaining 5 years of cultivation. Note: 5 years of cultivation corresponds to a 9-star Do King level. 5 years of cultivation have been deposited into the system space. Please check accordingly. Host. Upon hearing the system's notification, Gu He's thoughts stirred, and he directly entered the system space. Soon, he saw an energy sphere suspended in the void. And quat. With these 5 years of cultivation, I will definitely break through to the Du Emperor realm. And quat. Looking at the energy sphere in the void, excitement gleamed in Gu He's eyes. Ding! May I ask if the host wishes to merge the 5 years of cultivation? Just as Gu He's consciousness touched the energy sphere, a system prompt sounded in his mind. And quat. No. And quat. Without hesitation, Gu He decisively declined and quickly exited the system space. Breaking through to the Do Emperor realm would undoubtedly trigger a massive storm of Do Qi, causing a tremendous sensation. He needed to find a quiet place to make the breakthrough. Slowly opening his eyes, Gu He saw Xiao Yixian still immersed in digesting the energy within her body. Gu He could sense that Xiao Yixian was on the verge of breaking through the Du Disciple realm at this moment. However, it was unfortunate that her body was too weak to withstand another infusion of Do Qi. Gu He didn't disturb Xiao Yixian and quietly sat by the table, sipping his tea. Half an hour later, Xiao Yixian slowly opened her eyes. Sensing the power contained within her, excitement gleamed in her beautiful eyes. Peak 9th stage of Du Disciple. In such a short time, she had gone from the original 5th stage of Du Disciple to the peak of the 9th stage. This was simply incredible. Xiao Yixian's gaze shifted to Gu He, gratitude evident in her eyes. Naturally, she knew that all of this was thanks to her teacher's help, enabling such a significant change. And quat. Teacher, thank you. And quat. Xiao Yixian stood up, approached Gu He, and respectfully bowed. And quat. How do you feel? And quat. Gu He placed the teacup on the table and smiled warmly. And quat. Well, I feel like I've become really powerful. And quat. Upon hearing this, Xiao Yixian stretched her slender arms confidently. And quat. Powerful. And quat. Gu He was rendered momentarily speechless. The immensely powerful 9th stage of Du Disciple. Rit. Was truly terrifying. And quat. Good disciple. Do you know if there's a quiet place in Qingshan town? Your teacher needs to find a spot for a breakthrough. and quat. After a brief silence, Gu He smiled and asked Xiao Yi Xian. He remembered that in the original work, Xiao Yi Xian seemed to know of a secluded valley within the Demon Beast mountain range. That place should be suitable for breaking through to the Dou Emperor realm. And quat. Teacher, are you going to make a breakthrough? And quat. At Xiao Yi Xian's words, Gu He paused, then spontaneously replied, and quat. There's a valley that would definitely be suitable for your breakthrough. And quat. Upon hearing this, a smile tugged at the corners of Gu He's lips. An hour later, at the outskirts of the Demon Beast mountain range, above a valley, Gu He gently descended while holding Xiao Yi Xian in his arms. And quat. Teacher, this is the place. And quat. Xiao Yi Xian pointed to the valley ahead and smiled. At her words, a sense of surprise appeared in Gu He's eyes as he retracted the fiery red wings on his back. He gazed into the valley and noticed its abundance of energy. He also observed various rare medicinal herbs growing within the valley. The fragrance of the herbs mixed with the mist created a delightful atmosphere. After inhaling the herbal scent lingering in the air, Gu He nodded with satisfaction. And quat. Yes, this is indeed a good place. And quat. He then walked directly into the valley's interior, with Xiao Yi Xian following closely behind. After a moment, Gu He arrived at a natural cave entrance. He turned to Xiao Yi Xian and said, and quat. Disciple, your teacher will be in seclusion for a while. During this time, make sure to practice the alchemy techniques I've taught you. And quat. Hearing this, a trace of reluctance flashed in Xiao Yi Xian's eyes. She obediently nodded and said, and quat. I understand, teacher. And quat. And quat. Good. After I come out of seclusion, I'll assess your progress. And quat. Gu He wore a gentle smile on his face. He ruffled Xiao Yi Xian's hair and tried to appear more serious. And quat. If there's no improvement, I'll have to discipline you. And quat. And quat. Teacher, rest assured, your disciple won't disappoint you. And quat. Xiao Yi Xian nodded with determination. And quat. Very well. And quat. Gu He nodded with satisfaction, then slowly entered the cave. As Gu He disappeared inside the cave, a loud rumbling echoed, and a pile of boulders came crashing down, sealing the entrance tightly in an instant. The interior of the cave was pitch black. Gu He's thoughts shifted, and he took out a few luminous stones, embedding them into the cave walls. The previously dim cave instantly brightened. After tidying up the cave briefly and finding a smooth stone, Gu He sat down in a cross-legged position. Subsequently, his consciousness entered the system space. He looked at the energy sphere and silently commanded, and quat. System, begin absorbing the 5 years' worth of cultivation. And quat. Outside the cave, looking at the now sealed entrance, Xiao Yi Xian stood there for a while, her eyes filled with determination. And quat. Teacher, I won't let you down. Within the cave, as Gu He's words fell, the energy light sphere suspended in the void immediately transformed into a beam of light, shooting directly into Gu He's body. Before Gu He could react, he felt a massive surge of energy pouring into his body. This power was immensely violent, like a rushing river, surging and turbulent. And quat. Boom. And quat. A faint muffled sound echoed within Gu He's body, and a flush of crimson spread across his face. The energy contained within the light sphere exploded within Gu He, causing his entire body to tremble slightly. Sensing the changes within him, he quickly realized the situation. Without hesitation, he immediately began to control the overwhelming energy. However, as he began to engage with this energy, he realized that it was even more immense than he had imagined. This energy was like an unbridled wild horse, galloping through he's body with unparalleled ferocity, charging through his meridians. An excruciating pain engulfed he's senses. And I underestimated this energy once again. And at this moment, beads of cold sweat formed on he's forehead, and his face twisted in agony. With the previous experience of assimilating energy, he thought he was prepared and capable of withstanding this power. However, this energy far exceeded the energy he had previously returned. It corresponded to 5 years of cultivation at the 9th grade Do King realm, all entering his body at once. This energy held a destructive force, and as it surged through every muscle in he's body twitched slightly. And to assimilate this energy, I must suppress it first. And he's mind concentrated as he circulated the Do Ki within his body, forming protective barriers within his meridians, blocking the onslaught of energy. And if this body hadn't been tempered by the 9 abyssal flames, it probably wouldn't endure this turmoil. However, continually blocking this energy won't be a solution. And the unending flow of energy surged into his body. As this energy accumulated, the protective barriers formed by his condensed Do Ki were shattered. Once again, the energy surged and impacted his meridians. He's meridians were struggling to bear the torment and began to distort. Sensing this, he's brow furrowed. And I must quickly assimilate this energy. Otherwise, if all this energy pours into my body won't withstand the impact. Even if I manage to assimilate it in the end, it will likely leave behind hidden injuries. And he's handsome face turned stern, his waist-length hair billowing, and an overpowering aura spread from him. Subsequently, the melodious chirping of birds unexpectedly resonated within he's body. Following that, a substantial purple flame manifested within he's body. In an instant, he controlled the flame to rush towards the surging energy. And disperse this energy, scatter it throughout my body, then I will gradually assimilate it. And roar. The purple flame grew more intense. Stream after stream of purple flames condensed within he's body, crashing forcefully into the torrential energy and breaking it apart. Seeing this scene, he exhaled a sigh of relief, watching as the energy resembling a flood water was disintegrated. And next, I'll need to assimilate this energy, though thoroughly. Integrating it might take some time. And afterwards, he closed his eyes, focusing his mind and ki, and began to completely assimilate the energy within his body. Inside the dim cave, silence gradually enveloped the surroundings. As time passed, in the blink of an eye, 10 days had gone by. Inside the valley, within the cave buried beneath the pile of rubble, a pair of eyes that had been shut for nearly 10 days finally trembled slightly and slowly opened. As the eyes opened, bolts of lightning seemed to streak through the pitch-black irises like thunderstorms. In that instant, within the stifling cave, even the air emitted a faint crackling sound. With the opening of those eyes, the formidable aura that had remained dormant for nearly 10 days surged like an awakened army. Raising his head slowly toward the sky, a roaring sound that could shake the heavens and earth resonated from him. Under this aura, which was several times more powerful than before. The cave trembled faintly. Cracks as thick as arms spread from where the white-clad man sat, cross-legged, resembling a spider's web as they extended to every corner of the cave. And quat, crack, and quat. A faint sound came from the seated stone, and then tiny cracks suddenly appeared. At an astonishing speed, these cracks spread throughout the entire stone. Finally, with a deep rumbling sound, the stone shattered into countless fragments. Although the stone shattered, the white-clad man who sat on it remained motionless. His legs were crossed in mid-air without the slightest external force supporting him. And quat. So, this is the sensation of a Dao emperor, and quat. Gu He's hands slowly spread out, and as he felt the surging formidable Dao qi within his body, a faint arc appeared at the corner of his mouth. At this moment, a sense of dominance over the world emerged within him. The powerful soul force emanated from his body's core, expanding like a storm in all directions, sweeping through like lightning. The vigorous soul force swiftly spread from the cave, enveloping the entire valley. As it scanned, He learned about the situation within the entire valley. However, the expansion of his soul force didn't halt within the valley. It continued to expand towards the immense Demon Beast mountain range. As his soul force expanded, numerous scenes were reflected in He's mind. Of course, within the formidable Demon Beast mountain range, a few powerful beasts couldn't escape He's soul scan. Although many of the lower-tiered beasts were aware of his scan, apart from some special creatures, most couldn't inflict any harm on He's soul. Consequently, within the vast mountain range, earth-shattering roars resounded, and numerous lower-tiered demonic beasts shivered as they sensed He's soul scan. Despite these beasts sensing He's presence, apart from a few possessing special abilities, most couldn't affect his formidable soul force. Thus, under his overwhelming scan, his soul remained unscathed. The powerful soul force spanned a radius of hundreds of miles. However, there seemed to be a certain limit to this expansion. Thus, when He's soul force reached a certain mountain stream, it was unable to proceed further. Witnessing this, He's mind stirred. The soul force that had expanded like a tide instantly retracted like lightning. In just a few breaths, it was entirely retracted into his body. As his soul force was fully contained, He tilted his head back slightly and exhaled a long breath. And quat. It's time to end my seclusion. And quat.